At dawn, when the mist still clung to the Tigris like a ghost that refused to leave, the fisherman found the chest. It was heavy, too heavy for fish, too fine for driftwood. Its wood was dark and polished, bound in brass, and sealed as though whatever lay inside was meant never to see the sun again. They dragged it to shore. When the lid creaked open, the world of Baghdad changed. Inside lay the body of a young woman, wrapped in fine silk, her hair long and black as midnight, her face pale and still as porcelain. And carved into the wood above her heart were 3 simple words: for love, forgive. By noon, the news had reached the palace. By nightfall, the Caliph would demand blood. And before the moon rose again, 7 men would confess to a crime that only one had truly committed. Baghdad shimmered beneath the desert sun, its domes glowing like coins tossed upon the earth. Traders called it the heart of the world. Scholars filled its libraries. Perfume drifted through its markets. Gold passed from hand to hand like sand. But beneath its beauty, secrets moved quietly. The Caliph, Harun al-Rashid, ruled from a palace of carved marble and flickering lamps. He believed justice must be swift, for a city so great could not afford corruption. When the chest was brought before him, he stood silent for a long time. "Who did this?" he asked, his voice low but heavy. No one answered, so he turned to his most trusted officer, Ja'far ibn Yahya. "You have 3 days," the Caliph said. "Find the murderer, or you will hang in his place." Ja'far bowed, though his face had turned pale. 3 days, for a crime no one understood. Meanwhile, in a modest home near the spice market, a man named Hassan sat in darkness. He had not slept, he had not eaten, and when the drums began beating through the streets, announcing the discovery of a murdered woman, his hands began to tremble, for he knew the woman in the chest. She had once laughed in that very room. Ja'far's search began at the river docks. He questioned fishermen, merchants, guards. He inspected the chest closely. The wood was rare, brought from Basra. The brass hinges were custom-made. This was no random killing. This was deliberate. By the 2nd day, whispers filled the city. A missing wife, a jealous husband, a lover gone mad. Then, on the 3rd morning, as Ja'far prepared to face his execution, a man forced his way into the palace courtyard. "I did it," he shouted. "I killed her." It was Hassan. Guards seized him, but he did not resist. His eyes were hollow. He was brought before the Caliph. "You confess?" Harun asked. Hassan nodded. "She was my wife. I loved her more than my own breath." "Then why kill her?" Ja'far demanded. Hassan's voice broke. "I killed innocents, and I buried her in the river." The court was silent. But before the Caliph could speak, an old man stumbled forward. "No!" he cried. "I am the killer." It was Hassan's father. He fell to his knees. "My son lies. I killed her in a fit of madness. Spare him." The courtroom erupted. 2 confessions, 1 crime, and still the truth felt incomplete. Ja'far studied them both. Grief radiated from Hassan like heat from desert stones, but the father's eyes held something else. Fear. Not fear of death, fear of truth. Ja'far requested time to investigate further. Granted 1 final day, he followed the trail of the apples. He traced the shipment to Basra, confirmed Hassan's journey, spoke to merchants who remembered the desperate husband buying fruit like jewels. Then he found the slave boy. The boy trembled before the officer. "Yes," he admitted, I stole the apple from a child." "Why lie?" Jafar asked. "Because I thought it would make me seem grand," the boy whispered. The truth cut deeper than any blade. Hassan had murdered his wife over pride and misunderstanding. But the story was not finished. That night, Jafar returned to the palace with both confessions and the truth of the apple. Hassan stood ready to accept his fate. But as the sentence was about to be declared, a veiled woman stepped forward from the crowd. "I know more," she said softly. She removed her veil. Gasps filled the chamber. It was the sister of the murdered woman. "She wrote me a letter before she died," the sister said, holding parchment with shaking hands. Jafar read it aloud. In the letter, the young wife spoke of her husband's temper, of his deep love twisted by suspicion, of her fear that one day anger would steal his reason. But she also wrote, "If harm ever comes to me, tell him I forgave him long before it happened." The words struck like thunder. Hassan collapsed, weeping openly. Even the Caliph's stern expression softened. The Caliph rose from his throne. The hall grew still. Hassan knelt, awaiting death. The father knelt beside him, prepared to die in his place. Jafar stood tense, knowing that whatever decision was made would echo across Baghdad. Harun al-Rashid descended the steps slowly. "You killed your wife," he said to Hassan, "not from hatred, but from pride. Pride is a blade sharper than steel." Hassan bowed his head. "Your father would die to protect you. Your wife forgave you before death, and yet the law demands justice." The air felt heavy as stone. The Caliph turned to Jafar. "What would you do?" Jafar hesitated. "My lord," he said carefully, "death would end this story, but mercy may change it." The Caliph studied Hassan for a long moment. "Raise your head," he commanded. Hassan obeyed, tears streaking his face. "You will not die," the Caliph declared. A wave of shock swept through the court. "You will live," the Caliph continued, "and you will spend your life serving the poor and caring for the children of this city, so that no child's laughter is ever silenced by anger again." Hassan pressed his forehead to the floor. "Thank you," he whispered, though his voice carried both relief and unbearable sorrow. Justice had been tempered with mercy, but the lesson would scar the city forever. Years passed. In the markets of Baghdad, people still spoke of the 3 apples, of how jealousy nearly destroyed a family, of how a father tried to sacrifice himself, of how forgiveness arrived too late to save a life, yet in time to save a soul. Hassan became known not for murder, but for kindness. He built shelters for widows. He fed orphans. He spoke openly of his mistake, so others would never repeat it. The river still flowed. The city still shimmered. But whenever apples appeared in the market, some would pause and remember. And so, in the golden city of Baghdad, a simple fruit became a symbol of how quickly love can turn to ruin, and how mercy can rebuild what anger shatters. Tell me, if you stood in the Caliph's place, would you have chosen death or mercy? If this story moved you, let it live on. Like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. And return soon, for there are many more tales hidden in the shadows of the Arabian Nights, waiting to be told.